Okay, let's continue. Yesterday kita dah tengok example number 1 and example number 2. Right? So yesterday juga kita dah tengok the introduction to hypothesis, right? So I hope you already know what is hypothesis statement, the null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis, right? So you know how to differentiate between two-tail hypothesis and one-tail hypothesis, right? So today we're going to continue on example number 3. So we have a lot of example. So we try to finish up all the example by today, right? So example number 3, a random sample of 100 recorded death in the country during past year shows an average lifespan 71.8 years. So assuming the population standard deviation, so they give us the population standard deviation 8.9. That is seems that to indicate that the mean lifespan today is greater than 70 years. So use 0.05 level of significance. So dekat sini they give us the value of n equal to 100, and they also give us the x bar, right? X bar average of lifespan for 100 record death. So this one should be 71.8, and the claim is more than mu is more than 70 years. So this is the claim, and they also give us the population standard deviation, which is 8.9. So since we already know the population standard deviation, so we're going to use Z distribution. So first step is hypothesis statement, right? So null hypothesis will be mu equal to 70 years, and alternative hypothesis will be mu more than 70 years. So dia kata kat sini mean life span today is greater than 70. So this is the claim. So we want to prove that the claim is equal, the hypothesis, we want to test whether mean is equal to 70 or more than 70. So alpha, our significant level, significant level. So this is significant T. Significant level alpha equal to 0.05. And then our test statistic. So dia procedure dia sama saja, right? They should have a hypothesis statement, significant test, test statistics, decision rule, decision and making conclusion. Satu lagi kita ada a critical region. So Z distribution, x bar minus mu divided by sigma over square root of n. So x bar is equal to 71.8 minus mu is equal to 70 divided by 8.9 over square root of 100. So ambil calculator. Where is my calculator? So 71.8 minus 70 divided by 8.9 over square root of 100. So this one should be equal to 2.202. 2.022, right? So next step is our critical region, right? So critical region. So since this is a greater than, so we only focus on one tail lah. Oh, sorry, this one is not nice, right? For example, so this is from 0, the mean is equal to 0 because you are focusing on Z distribution. So this is a rejection area, right? So this is a rejection area. This is acceptance acceptance area, right? So rejection area covers 0.05 probability of rejection area. So this is Z alpha, which is Z 0.05 equal to 1.644. Berapa? I tak ingat dah. Where is Google Classroom? So you look into your table lah, statistical table. Table number 4, is it? Yep. Table number 4, alpha 0.05 is 1.6449. 6449. Right? So then we can make a decision since Z calculated, right, is more than Z alpha, which is 0.05, which is 1.64, more 1.6449, which is, this is Z alpha. So then null hypothesis is rejected. So, or in other hand, we can say that since the value of Z calculated or calculated statistics falls inside the rejection area, so we reject null hypothesis, right? So since conclusion, so we have enough evidence to reject null hypothesis. We have enough evidence to reject null hypothesis and conclude that the average lifespan is greater than 70 years, right? So that's how we do a hypothesis statistic. Boleh eh? So this is very simple example lah, huh? Right? Let's move to example number 4. So example number 4, the amount spent for groceries in Ringgit Malaysia for 25 housewives were taken randomly. Right? So they give us the n is equal to 25. So sample taken is 25. So based on the information given, so this is based on n equal to 25. So we have a standard mean is equal to 210 and standard deviation equal to 144. So based on the information given, specify the null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis for testing whether housewives spend more than 200 ringgit for grocery. 200 ringgit, so I think, so first step, hypothesis statement, right? So null hypothesis, mu is equal to 200 ringgit, and alternative hypothesis, mu is more than 200 ringgit, right? More than or equal to more than 200 ringgit lah, more than, dia kata spend more than, right? So alpha is equal to 0.05 because we want to perform 5% levels, significant level, right? And test statistic that we're going to use is, so look at the statement. From the statement, we don't know the population variance. Since we don't know the population variance, there are two possibilities, either T distribution or Z distribution. So by looking at the sample size, we have the sample size less than 30. So since the sample size less than 30, So we're going to use T distribution. So T is equal to x bar minus mu divided by S over square root of n. Right, so then mean is 210.35 minus 200, which is our mean, and standard deviation is 11.44 divided by square root of 25. So this one should be, this is 25, this is 11.44, this one should be 210.35 minus 200. So it should be 4 point, kejap betul ke? This is the standard deviation, right? 25, look at the formula, should be correct. So 4.52. So semua dapat yang sama, 4.5236. Right? So then we need to find the critical region. So critical region, so since this is the alternative hypothesis shows that it's more than, so it's a one-tail test. So this is a 0, one-tail test, it should be over here. This is alpha 0.05, right? So this critical value will be T 0.05 with degree of freedom 25 minus 1, which is 24. So we look at the statistical table, table number 7. Alpha 0.05, the degree of freedom 24, it should be 1.711. 1.711. So we put here 1.711. Right? So our decision is, since calculated statistic falls inside rejection area, so we reject null hypothesis. So conclusion is, we can conclude that we have enough evidence to conclude that the housewife spend more than 200 ringgit for groceries lah. We have enough evidence to conclude that housewife spend more than 200 ringgit for groceries. Right, so that is a conclusion that can be made lah. Okay. So now let's look at the hypothesis testing by SPSS. Right. So hypothesis testing and confidence interval, SPSS output. So basically this is the same output as we have looked into chapter number 3, benda yang sama. So let's say we want to do a one sample t-test, right? So let's say the value of hypothesis is equal to 30. Right, this is the null hypothesis lah. So dalam SPSS dia boleh bagi dia tak boleh bagi one tail test, dia akan bagi two tail test. So that's why dalam SPSS dia akan bagi two tail test where the value of 30 dekat sini, right? 30 dekat sini, right, represent null hypothesis, right? The value that we test for null hypothesis. Mu is equal to 30. The alternative hypothesis will be, this is alternative hypothesis, HA. HA should be mu is not equal to 30. Right? And this is the degree of freedom. This is a test statistic. So test statistic usually dia akan guna T statistic lah, right? So T statistics is getting from x bar minus mu. Mu is 30 dekat sini, right? Dekat sini 30, right? S divided by square root of n. So we will get 0.56. Mean difference here is kita dah tahu mean difference is the value of mean, the actual mean divide minus with the value of that we hypothesize, right? 30. So we will get the mean difference. So the confidence interval for the difference kita dah belajar last chapter, right? D plus minus, right? T alpha divided by 2 n minus 1 s divided by square root of n, which is a standard error. So we will get the value of confidence interval for mean difference, right? This is the standard deviation for sample. This is a standard error for the sample, which is s divided by square root of n. So just divide these two value x standard deviation and n. So you dapat standard error, right? So dekat sini 30 ni represent the sample size lah. Sample size sepatutnya dia tak tulis capital N, dia sepatutnya tulis small letter n lah. Right, tapi in SPSS they will put capital N. Right, we understand lah, this is a sample size yang kita ada dalam dataset. So basically in SPSS, I think I dah tunjuk dekat you IBM SPSS. So let's say kita buka IBM SPSS. So let's say I guna sample data, let's say demo.csv, demo.sav, right? Open. So I have this kind of data. So let's say, I tak boleh besarkan. Don't know how to make it bigger. Wait. Never mind. So let's say I look at the employee. Employee ni means that the years with current employer, right? Years with current employer. So let's say kita tengok years ni berapa dia punya mean. Alright. So the mean for employer ni adalah 10.57, right? With the standard deviation is 9.72. Boleh nampak ke? I don't know how to make it bigger. Tapi tak apa, you boleh nampak kan? Boleh nampak? Cuba nampak kan? Right? Sebab I cannot make it bigger. If you have SPSS, then you can try together lah. We can try together. Do you have SPSS in your machine? Ada SPSS? Try buka SPSS and I hope you are using SPSS current version 28, right? Kalau you guna 28, you are same, you have same interface with me, right? So 28 dia nampak white lah, dia tak ada warna biru dah, right? So you just buka file, open data. So if you are using 27 and below lah, right? So you pergi ke C, cari dengan program file, cari IBM, SPSS statistic, and then choose sample, English, and find demo.sav. So kalau you guna lowest version lah, if you are using current version 28, you just go to file and click on welcome dialog. Right, dalam welcome dialog ni dia ada 3 tab dekat sini. So tab nombor 3 ni ada sample file. So you cari demo.sav. Right, you click open. Right, so you will get the same dataset as me lah. So now we are looking into demo data set, alright, data set demo, variable employ means that years with current employer. So years with current employer, so dia kat sini dia bagi this is the total year lah, the years for the first respondent ni dia spend 23 years in the current employer. This one 35 years and so on. So we find mean, dan kita nak cari descriptive statistic saja, nak tengok dia punya mean and standard deviation. So we know that from 6,400 observation dekat sini, there are no missing value. So the mean is 10.57 and the standard deviation is 9.724, right? So let's say I want to know whether the mean of with the current employer is more than or is not equal to 10, right? Maksudnya my argument is from 6,400 employer ni, I nak tahu sama ada the mean of year staying at the company is equal to 10 years or not equal to 10 years. So apa yang I boleh buat adalah I click analyze and then I click on compare mean, right, and click on one sample t-test, right, one sample t-test. So now, so I just masukkan years at current years at current address, years with current employer, right, which is employee lah. And then my hypothesis value is 10. So ini apa yang nak buat ni? My null hypothesis mu is equal to 10. My alternative hypothesis mu is not equal to 10. Right? So option, I just want to make sure I'm using 95% confidence interval or my alpha is 0.05. Right? And then I click OK. So I will get the result. Tapi dekat new SPSS, dia akan bagi extra lah. Kalau kita tengok dekat sini, one sample t-test kat sini, dia ada satu lagi estimate effect size. So this is a good option for those who want to report effect size as well in the journal kan. So if you don't want, you just untick this one and click OK. So dia akan bagi you dua table, right? So okay, nanti I tengok macam mana nak besarkan. So from here kita nampak dekat sini the mean is 10.57, standard deviation is 9.72, and this is a mean standard error, which is standard deviation divided by square root of 6,400. So by our understanding, right, when the population variance is unknown and the sample size is more than 30, we should use Z distribution. But in SPSS, we are using T distribution, right? So T distribution. So if you are given output from SPSS, you should interpret based on T distribution, right? So now, instead of so I copy this one. Wait, I just copy this one dulu. I nak tunjuk dalam okay, kat sini tunjuk. Oops. I need to copy as picture. Right. So, okay, you nampak result dia? Okay, tadi tak berapa nampak kan, sekarang nampak sikit, okay? Alright, so I have mean dekat sini. So this is the mean and standard deviation, and this is a test statistic, this is the hypothesis testing. So our hypothesis statement will be Null hypothesis, mu equal to 10. Alternative hypothesis, mu is not equal to 10. So because in SPSS, they give us the value of two-tail test, right? So if you want one-tail test, you need to specify lah. But there are no option to specify in SPSS, right? So our alpha, let's say we set alpha is 0.05. So by using a statistical by using apa nama SPSS output, right? Test statistic, right? Test statistic. We are using T distribution, right? T is equal to 4.658, right? So this is already calculated for you, x bar minus mu divided by square root of n. Kalau you masukkan, let's say mean is equal to 10.57 minus 10 divided by 9. So 0.11, 0.122. So dapat tak? So kita try tengok, right? So 10 point, so 0.57 divided by 0.1122. Oops. So lebih kurang lah. Okay. So macam mana dia calculate dapat benda tu kita tak sure, tapi the result is lebih kurang, right? So next, critical value, critical region. This is our method using calculated statistic lah, right? So let's say we want to find for both side, right? So this is two-sided. So this is going to be, let's say alpha is 0.05. This one should be 0.025. This one 0.025. This is alpha. This is also alpha, right? Because it share the same area, kan? The total area for rejection region ni 0.05. So we know that from here, these two region is a rejection region, and this is acceptance region, right? So now, since we have two-sided, if you want to find using T statistical table, so this one should be T 0.025 with degree of freedom 6400 minus 1. 6400 minus 1. So 6399 kan? 6399. But if you look into statistical table, right? 0.025, we don't have much degree of freedom dekat sini. So dia apa yang dia buat 1 until 120, right? And then they put infinity. Maksudnya yang beyond 120, it should be 1.96 lah. Because it's covered 0.025. So we can put here this value. This value should be 1.96 and this value should be negative 1.96, right? So since the T statistic or T calculated is beyond 1.96, right, or falls inside rejection area, so we reject null hypothesis. We reject null hypothesis and we accept alternative hypothesis. So we can conclude that the average year employee spend in the current employer is more than 10 years. So this is one of the method yang I tunjuk kan. So then another method is by looking into p-value, right? So di sini dia bagi kat kita degree of freedom, and this is a p-value. right? So in newer SPSS, they give us one-sided p-value and two-sided p-value, right? So we are looking into two-sided p-value. So current p-value is less than 0.001. So this is a good presentation compared to the previous version. Previous version dia akan letak macam ni, dia tak akan letak less than 0.01. So now SPSS is learning towards general standard lah, right? So previous one dia akan letak 0.0000, right? This doesn't mean that the value is zero, right? The value here should be very small until we cannot detect the how many decimal it appear the value, kan? So current version SPSS, they conclude for us less than 0.001. So this is a standard version to conclude the p-value, the very small p-value. So to relate to our hypothesis, right? So instead of putting t equal to 4.65 and 4.658, so we are concluding based on p-value. P-value is less than 0.001. So this is our test statistics. So critical region, right? So kita tak pakai critical region dah dekat sini if you are using p-value. So we just jump into the decision rule. Our decision rule, if p-value is less than 0.05, 0.05, where you get this is our alpha. If your alpha is 0.01, so you should mention 0.01. So if the p-value is less than 0.05, null hypothesis is rejected. So this is one rule. Second rule is if p-value is the opposite one lah, is more than 0.05, which is our alpha, right? Null hypothesis is accepted, right? So we can make from here, from a decision rule, we can make a decision lah. Kat sini, what is our decision? So since p-value is less than 0.05, kita nampak kat sini, this is a less than 0.01, so which is smaller than 0.05. So null hypothesis is rejected, right? Boleh? So this is a second option to conclude the hypothesis testing, right? So previously kita tengok just menggunakan critical region or test statistics. This is another option by looking at into a statistical statistical output lah, statistical software output. Okay. Any questions so far? Right. If you don't have any question, then we focus on example number 5. A consumer researcher claimed the average price of prawn is more than 8 ringgit per kilogram during any festive season. So he conducted a survey which involved 200 markets throughout the country. Right. The table 2 provides result on one sample t-test for the average price prawn at wet market lah. So at the first week of Ramadan last year. So dia kata dekat sini table 1 they give us the sample size equal to 200, mean equal to 8.911, and standard deviation is 0.75, and standard error is y. And the table number 2 they give us the value of t statistic, degree of freedom. This is a two-tailed test p-value. Nampak tak the different I mentioned before. Kalau the newer version, dia summarize less than 0.01, right? The older version, right, dia just letak 0.000, right? So 0.00 ni bukan maksud kosong, dia maksudnya very small number. Dia ada number dalam tu. And this is the mean difference, and this is a confidence interval for the mean difference, right? So now determine the value of y. So value of y is a standard error. So standard error is s divided by square root of n, right? So it should be 0.75260 divided by square root of 200 lah. So you can measure the value. So using the information from the output, determine 95% confidence interval on the average price pound. Alright, so we want to determine the 95% confidence interval of the mean. Right, so x bar plus minus, so t alpha divided by 2 with degree of freedom s divided by square root of n. So we just plug in the value, we will get the confidence interval lah. Right, is actually not equal to this one, tak sama. This is a confidence interval of the difference. What we want is a confidence interval of the average of the mean, right? Specify null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis. So kita tengok dekat sini, the test value is equal to 8. So null hypothesis mean equal to 8. And alternative hypothesis mean is not equal to 8 lah. Right. Okay. Tapi kalau untuk the newer version, kalau dia bagi dalam newer version macam mana? Newer version, we have one-sided and two-sided. So which one you want to choose? So dia sepatutnya dia akan clarify lah. Two-sided test or one-sided test less than. So dia akan clarify dekat situ. So you need to baca soalan betul-betul lah. And then based on the SPSS output, is there sufficient evidence to support the researcher claim that alpha 0.05? So by looking at the p-value, very simple, by looking at the p-value, since the p-value is less than 0.05, so kita kata ini, since the p-value is less than 0.05, so H null is rejected. So we conclude that apa? Ini berkenaan dengan average pound, that average pound price is not equal to RM ringgit lah, RM 8 ringgit. Right? So example number 6 also same. We need to determine the 99% confidence interval of the average. We just put x bar plus minus. This is a t alpha divided by 2 with degree of freedom. And wait, I think we cannot put t here, right? Because dekat atas ni pun sama, kita tak boleh letak T because based on our understanding, right, if the sample size is more than 30, we're going to use Z distribution, right? So we're going to put Z alpha divided by 2, right, for the confidence interval of the average. Right, same goes to the example number 6. So since the n is equal to 30, and dia kata kat sini population standard deviation also don't know. So this is Z alpha divided by 2 S divided by square root of N. Right, the confidence interval. So you should refine back lah. Tak boleh totally depend on the SPSS output. Right. And then based on the confidence interval obtained, can you conclude the sales is more than 6,000? So you need to, based on A lah, you conclude. So now, test value is equal to 60,000. So specify the hypothesis testing. So null hypothesis, mu is equal to 60,000. Alternative hypothesis, mu is not equal to 60,000. Right, because this is the older version kan. Older version, there are no option lah. There should be on two-sided test. Right, for a newer version, so the question should specify whether one-sided or two-sided lah. Right, so dia kata kat sini, AX Tour and Travel, after test marketing a new vacation package, conclude that the strategy would increase its sales more than 60,000. Right, so kat sini dia dah bagi tahu clear cut. So dia kata kat sini more than 60,000. So provide one sample t-test. So this one cannot be not equal lah. There should be more than 60,000. Right, so more than 60,000, unless they dah clear cut explain in the statement lah. So this is a one-sided test lah. So based on the output, state the test statistic that was used. Test statistic was used is T statistic. Right, T statistic or T distribution. Is there sufficient evidence to support claim 5% significant level? Right, so kita tengok dekat P value. Since the P value is more than 0.05, which is the P value, since the P value is equal to 0.166, right, is more than 0.05, which is our alpha, null hypothesis is accepted. Right, so we can conclude that the claim does not support. We have no enough. We have no enough evidence to support alternative hypothesis. Right, so example number 7, staff training is very essential part of human resource management to become tremendous significant in travel industry. Therefore, a study was done by Ministry of Tourism and Culture to investigate whether the cost spent by travel agency for annual training is greater than 50,000. So from here, dia bagi tahu kat sini statement dia greater than 50,000. Right, the finding would illustrate the significance of providing staff training industry. So this is a mean and standard deviation. So shows that standard error is equal to this one. So 110,273.779 divided by square root of 15 should be equal to 228,472.567. Right, state 95% confidence interval of the difference in average. So it's different in average. So we just put lah 1, 4, 4. This is a very simple question kan. Soalan tak mencabar. That's why I kata, kalau you fail this subject, sangat-sangat malulah. Right. State the null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis. Null hypothesis, mu is equal to 50,000. Alternative hypothesis, mu is greater than 50,000. Is it? Okay. Based on a p-value at a 5% significant level, is there enough evidence to indicate the average cost spent ANC is greater than 50,000? So we look at the p-value. So since the p-value is less than 0.05, we can conclude that there is enough evidence to conclude the annual staff training is greater than RM 50,000 lah. Right. So example number 8, I think you can do it by yourself lah. As I think this is a very simple, right? So 95% confident interval. This is a null and alternative hypothesis. So kalau kita tengok dekat sini dia kata more than 2,000 per month. So the null hypothesis is mu is equal to 2,000. Alternative hypothesis mu is greater than 2,000. It shows that t statistic is 2.24. So this is very simple. X bar minus mu divided by S over square root of n. So X bar here is equal to berapa? Oh, it doesn't give Sample of 15, okay. Random selected. Objectives, okay. It cannot be like this. They should give us another table kan. Dia kena bagi dua-dua table. So I think the soalan ni dia tak complete. Dia tak bagi satu lagi table which is mean and standard deviation. It should provide us mean and standard deviation to calculate the value of t. Right? Kalau tak soalan ni tak complete, right? So I think dia lupa nak paste this one. So you can ignore this one lah. Right, sepatutnya dia macam ni, dia ada dua table, right? So this one dia only give us one table kan? So it's an incomplete table lah. So let's look at example number 9, right? Example number 9 based on the information given, right? It was found that the hotel produced 6.1 kilogram solid waste daily, right? So following the table, the following table shows the result obtained from a further analysis of the study. So if the researcher would like to test whether the mean weight is different from 6.1, what will be the null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis, right? So dekat sini the test value is 6.1. So the null hypothesis here will be mu is equal to 6.1. Alternative hypothesis will be mu is not equal to 6.1. Right? Based on the p-value, can the researcher conclude the mean weight of solid waste is different from 6.1? So from the p-value, we look at the p-value. P-value is less than 0.001, right? 0.001. So since the p-value is less than 0.05, so we can conclude that we conclude based on alternative hypothesis is rejected. So null hypothesis is rejected. We can conclude that the mean weight of solid waste is different from 6.1 kilogram. Very simple kan? So construct 95% confidence interval for mean weight. So this is x bar plus minus. So look at the value of n is 30. So z alpha divided by 2 s divided by square root of n. Right? So the value, kalau you guna t, you will get a different value of confidence interval of mean lah. Okay? Alright. The last example. Ada lagi. Basically example semua sama lah. This one they should give us the value of mean. Kita tengok dulu soalan ni boleh jawab ke tak. The statement most chef are found to be overweight. Right, chef 1 tak overweight pun. Right, made by Weight Watcher. Oi, ada Weight Watcher. Receive a lot of comment from the magazine reader. So to prove whether the statement is true, the magazine conduct a study on a sample of chef. Right, table 2 shows SPSS output of the study. So they give us the p-value. The test value is 43. So how many chefs involved? So there are n equal to 252. Right, based on degree of freedom plus 1. Right. From the table, determine 95% confidence interval of the mean difference. So mean difference kat sini lah. So 32.2783. Right. 39.5706. Right. So if the ideal weight of chef is 143 pounds, state the null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis. So null hypothesis will be mean mu is equal to 143. Alternative hypothesis mean is greater than 143. Sebab dia kata kat sini most chef found to be overweight. So based on the p-value in the output, is there sufficient evidence to indicate that chefs are overweight? So based on the p-value, since the p-value is less than 0.001 or less than 0.005, null hypothesis is rejected. So we are accepting the alternative hypothesis and conclude that most of the chefs are overweight. Right? So that's how we answer the question. Very simple. Right? So last question for today. Right? Kita ada confidence interval for 2 means. Lepas tu kita akan ada banyak lagi ni sebenarnya. This is a very big topic, okay? Sampai this is a chi-squared pun masuk. Okay, right. Good. So last example for today. So with more vehicle on the road, right? This one pun bagi satu table saja. The number of fatal accident has been on the rise. As a result, the number of insurance claim also increased steadily. A car insurance company is concerned that total claim per day is increasing to more than 70,000. So data insurance claims in 2 weeks are collected and analyzed. So results shown in table 2. So what is the total number claim in this study? So total number claim in this study dalam 1 minggu ni, dalam 2 minggu ni dia ada 3, 3, 3, 4. So this is n equal 3334. Right? So mana dapat? Degree of freedom is n minus 1. So to get n, plus 1 balik lah. Right, so from the table, 95%, determine 95% confidence interval for the mean difference. Right, mean difference, this is a mean difference of cost insurance. So negative 1.25 to 7.27. So this is in 1,000, right? Right. So if you convert this to 1,000, this is negative 1.12500 2700. State the null and alternative hypothesis. Null will be mu is equal to 70,000, right? 70k, Right, alternative hypothesis, tapi kita dah convert this one to K kan. So kita hilangkan K dekat sini. So mu is equal to alternative hypothesis, dia kata more than mu more than 70. So this is a one-sided test lah. So based on the p-value in the output, is there sufficient evidence to indicate the average total gain is more than 70? So since the p-value is less than 0.05, more than 0.05, so we accept null hypothesis, right? Since p-value is more than 0.05, which is 0.166, right? Null hypothesis is rejected. So we always conclude on null hypothesis, right? Because we are testing null hypothesis instead of alternative hypothesis. Alternative hypothesis is just a claim that made by the company, right? So since the null hypothesis is rejected, so we can conclude that the daily total claim is more than 70,000. So you can tulis lah. Since null hypothesis is rejected, so we can conclude that the average daily claim is more than 70,000. Or in other words, we can say that we have no enough evidence to conclude to reject null hypothesis, right? So since null hypothesis is accepted, the average daily total claim is equal to 70,000, bukan more than 70,000 lah. Sorry. Sebab kita accept null hypothesis. Sorry I ada tersilap dekat sini ya. This is not rejected This is accepted. Because the p-value is more than 0.05. Remember the rule tadi I tunjuk dekat you? Rule dia apa? If the p-value is less than 0.05, null hypothesis is rejected. If the p-value is more than 0.05, null hypothesis is accepted. This is the rule if you are using p-value. Right. Okay. So I hope you understand. So dekat sini kita boleh kata since the p-value is more than 0.05, null hypothesis is accepted. We have not enough evidence to reject null hypothesis, and we conclude that the average daily total claim is equal to 70,000. Okay. So for the next class, kita akan tengok confidence interval for difference of two mean. So I think that's all.